Hi guys, welcome to another episode of CodeFilms. This code film we want to look at a piece of code in a technical concept around web technologies. So this is the whole concept. You have a piece of code that wants to activate or cause an activation at the back end at the back end of a system or a service or whatever the implementation has been done. But the question is, how do such things evolve, or how are they being done? Take an example. Every web application that you've come across always has this front end presentation for you. I say I want to go to Facebook. Let me just not in Facebook, Ghana Web. I type in the URL which is above. It hits a certain server and it returns this web page from the server. So if I'm to do that again, I get a status and it returns a status of 200, which means it was successful. So this is the response we're getting from our web server. But the question I'm asking myself is every time that we have to access a web application via this software architecture of most of the time centered around model view controller or MVC, is it all the time that we have to allow such a thing to be done or such an implementation to go on? And I say no, because I believe web technologies doesn't really span that of front end MVC architectures. It goes way beyond that, far way beyond typing the URL and then just log in, log out functionalities. Take Instagram, Udemy, almost all these websites are centered around that kind of I have to log in and log out before I get user service. Kind of website, so you have to log in and log out. So I want something new, something that would suit my own specification as a developer or as a firm or as an institution. So we're going to look at a piece of code. I'm going to explain every technical concept and content inside as much as possible so that non-technical people can understand what's going on. But if you find yourself lost, you can ask any question. So let's get right into it. We don't want to go with just Ghana Web and I get response 200 and we're sick and tired of this kind of web application development. It's good, there's nothing wrong with it, but it seems we are being restricted with the enormous technologies that a web application presents, from object design to a whole lot of stuff. That's what I want us to address at this point. So let's go right into our editor. Okay. Alright, so we're going to run the application first and I'll walk you through each step. So we have a profile.jsp and that's our landing page to save. At this landing page, we have your boss or your technical supervisor tells that, hey, CodeFilms, we want you to log into this, not log in, but start this service or run this backend service. But we don't want you to log in. It's something that is understood in-house within the development environment. So you go onto the web application. Let's start the web application. You run it on your server. That's your application server. And at the moment, let's copy and paste this and send it into So you see, we want to start a backend process or a service, but you see at the moment process is not executed. Process is what? No, because we haven't started any process. So we have to pass in some parameters. This is how you start this application that we have built. That any technical person who wants to face this application has to have some technical knowledge at his fingertips to be able to start this application. Unlike Facebook or Ghana Web, that when you're logging in, you're not really logged in, so you're logging in, you need a email and password. We're not talking about something of that sort. For this one, if you want to log in, you have to pass in a certain parameter to start the application. When I say parameter, you have a function, so if I put X into a function, I need to get Y, that kind of thing. I just don't type the URL and get what I want. So that's why it's returning process not executed. Your process is set to what? Null. So now because it's understood between we technical people, we said that config the backend process with an initialization. So init here means initialization. You realize that if I'm to type anything aside init, let's let this work first. So once I type that, you see our backend process is running. It's running. So it loads for a certain period of time, then the backend service is being set or it's running. So now someone said, okay, fine, what if someone also tries to log in with a different parameter? If you type in a parameter is equal to maybe free test, you realize that it says that process is not executed. Process is not, because we have at the backend implemented that knowledge or that logic or that understanding that if you want to pass a backend server, it has to be config. So config is a variable that stores the user's technical specs. And if you come to the profile.jsp page, the only parameter it understands is that of config. So config is the property that it understands. It doesn't understand any other property. That's why when you try to pass in a, or maybe if not config, then maybe shutdown equal to, now you realize that still process is not executed. Now this is what we want to do. We want our application to run the backend process service when we type in an initialization, when we input an initialization. We want that service to be done once. What do I mean by that? It's like starting your car engine. When I start the car engine once, after starting it, when I'm on the road and I'm on the highway, I don't expect my engine to crank down or to be hit with a force shutdown if it's an electric car or something of that sort. But I expect that once I start the engine once, the car should keep moving so I get to my final destination. That's what we're trying to explain. So if our process is set to, if our configuration is done to init, after it has done initializing the backend service or whatever implementation has been done at the backend, if I want to do the same thing again by copying, we've done it once, so once it's done, it should be set. It's set. Once we've done it, it's set. I shouldn't be able to take this same URL, go to another tab, and say I'm going to do an initialization. It should fail because my initialization has been set once. But if I come here and change my scope, that's the scope of my property, my bean, that's config, and I make it a session scope, you realize that we're going to have a different implementation of the same service. Okay, so now it's a session scope. Alright, so let's config again init. So it's going to be set, and once down is done, realize that when you move this profile that has been set, after the initialization has been done, and you try to start the application on another tab, realize that still it's being set. You understand? So anytime you start the application on another tab, the process is running again, which we don't want because we start our car engine once, drive all the way on the highway. So you can realize the changes that's being done with the session scope. So initialization or setup should be done once. It's the phase scope. After that, confirm the initialization has been done with an activation. So whenever we initialize, we want to confirm that this is being done with an activation key that's being generated. And the essence of the activation key is to prove that this initialization has really worked or is being done, has been done successfully. So let's start our application. Let's give some time. We have a timestamp. Most of the time when we are working with software systems for corporate environment or enterprises, you need to have timestamps just in case any issue pops up. You can refer to the logs. Alright, so this has been done. Initialization has been done. Now, so we can even forget that it has been done. I'm trying to write again, we don't care. We know it has been done. And let's go to activation. Activation 2 has to be successful because we've done one initialization. So realize that after the activation key has been generated. So this confirms that one initialization confirms several. One initialization proves or maps to an activation that has been done at the back end. Someone said that, well, what if no initialization was done? You realize that if no initialization was done, this will return an error message. And at the moment, you can see that anytime we move this page to any tab of the web browser, we still have the same activation key. The activation key doesn't change. That to prove that activation has been done successfully. And because it's in a session scope, or it's within a session, so you realize the activation has been done successfully. Now let's do this. Let's have profile run again, but this time no activation. In other words, we haven't initialized profile. Let's start the application again. The reason is that because at the moment it's being cached. We don't want that to happen. We want to start afresh to run the service. Okay, so let's have a profile run. Right, so this is what we have now. So now let's move to activation. It hasn't been set. This is a fresh run. You realize that if you try to activate, you're going to get an error message. Activation key not generated. So this goes a long way to prove you that we have to have one initialization being done to confirm that our backend implementation service has been done. And we have to have an activation key that's being generated alongside. But if the initialization hasn't been done, our activation key will not be generated. So this is the whole concept of the CodeFilms we are trying to use. And the web technologies here we are looking at is using this JSP usebean, that's the JSP serverless technologies with Java EE. And that's the web technologies that I keep stressing on. And because you've created an object, and as an object, let's take a book for instance, and you've restricted the book to have presence or existence only within certain scope of the application, that's a powerful implementation. So if you have a book that, let's say someone's in class KG1 and you've been able to restrict access to that book, let's say it's a science 9S science, a book, textbook, and you see that once it has been placed in JHS1 or it's been placed in kindergarten 1, no other person can access that book unless you're in kindergarten 1, even though that book doesn't belong to kindergarten 1 people. that you have intended to put it within that scope. So you are restricting the mobility or the access to that book by using some of these technologies of scope, beams, GSPs.